Now what I have here is a 4.6 litre V8 in kit form. Block, a crank, heads, pistons, bearings, more bearings, many bolts which just fly into the box, and basically a lot of work to do. So yesterday I had some bad news, which was actually pretty good news. After a few weeks of working over Christmas and New Year trying to get the main bearing to fit and the crankshaft to turn in the V8 engine, it wasn't having any of it. I took it back to Motortech, explained the situation. They had a very quick look at it, instantly told me that the thrust bearing was a faulty item that had been supplied by the manufacturer. So I've left the block and the crank with Graham up at Motortech. He's going to get a new thrust bearing and fit that for me to make sure it is a good item that I'm not left struggling with again, because we couldn't tell. It was in cellophane wrapping straight from the factory. I put it in and it didn't work. Without having built hundreds of engines before, I didn't know it was a problem. He took one look at it, he could see it was a fault instantly. So that leads me to talk about what I've been doing in the meantime and before the engine went back. Eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed the Rover V8 is no longer silver. I think they teach it in preschool these days, but as everyone on the planet seems to know, the Rover V8 was originally a Buick 215 before it became a Rover 3.5 litre. Now, when Rover used it, they left it bare or painted it silver. Sometimes the components are grey on it. But Buick, come 1973, when my P6 was built, were painting it this interesting shade of sage green. I think it's called GM sage green. I had a can around here somewhere. In fact, I do. Armour engine paint. And it does say what the colour is on it somewhere. Yeah, GM Alpine Green. Sorry, not sage, Alpine Green. Which is colour correct for 1973 GM engine cars, including Buicks. Which, if you bought a Buick in '73, this is the colour of paint you'd have bought. You'd have been looking at on your engine block. So I cleaned the engine very thoroughly. Lots of brake and clutch cleaner, and then gave it a good dry and cleaned it with this, which came from US Automotive. Very helpful indeed. Lots of colours in their stock. Not advertising them, but they are useful. So now, when the people pop the engine, there will be the question: what is that engine? Is that a Buick? Is it a Rover? Well, because taking components from both engines to make it into a Range Rover Rover hybrid, in some ways, although it is the newer Rover 4.6, it's got plenty of the old 3.5 bits in it, so it may be slightly closer to the Buick than it would otherwise be. But yeah, so either infuriate the purists or amuse people who know a bit of car history. It makes me laugh anyway, and I think it looks quite good as well. So that's me happy, and these heads look quite nice too. The timing cover is taken from the P6 3.5 litre engine because it's a much smaller item. There's less room in the car's engine bay because it's a smaller car, so there's less room between the engine and the radiator and the fan. So this whole thing is a lot littler than the Range Rover item. The water pump is smaller, the oil pump area is smaller, everything's more compact, and also the oil filter mounting itself means you can just reach under the front valance, screw a filter on. It's always where it should be on the car. Whereas on the Range Rover, you'd have to notch the cross member to make it fit. This actually isn't a P6 front timing cover. This is from a Rover SD1, the car that came after the P6. Still the same engine, obviously, but it has a more efficient design. It's a little bit better. A viscous fan, for example, rather than a mechanical fan. It's just one more step up from the P6. Step down from the Range Rover, which is an electric fan, but it's small enough to fit in the P6 very happily. It's a common upgrade, or it used to be a common upgrade on the P6 cars. And last of all, I gave the sump a coat of matte black heat-resistant paint, partly because I had a can of black heat-resistant paint knocking around the garage, but also because it looks really cool. I think it's going to contrast really nicely with the green of the engine block. If you want to see how this turns out, do keep watching. Please hit subscribe, please hit like. I'll keep doing it whether you do it or not, but if you could, that'd be fantastic.